Hello, hello. Ron Callis here with another episode of Automation Unplugged. Today is Wednesday, October 27th. It is just a little bit after 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I am hoping that I am streaming on both platforms. My team will inform me of such here shortly. I'm actually going to jump over here to Facebook. We'll see if I see us live. And last week, we had a snafu in the LinkedIn engine, and I didn't see that we were live on LinkedIn. I'm going to look for my team to report back to me, see if we're live. You are. Chris just messaged me. Thank you, Chris. You're my hero. Awesome. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today's a really special day. And Chris says, Facebook's a go. Awesome, Chris. I appreciate you kind of being my man on the inside. Good job. Much appreciated. Today's a special day because today's October 27th, which makes it my wedding anniversary. And this is my 18th wedding anniversary to my amazing wife, Danielle Callis. And yes, I am here with all of you, and I'm going to be on very soon with Paul. And but I'm going to be taking her to a very nice dinner here at the end of the day into the evening, and we're going to celebrate a little bit more this weekend. As I will be off early tomorrow to Orlando for Infocom, so going up there for a quick 24-hour trip in and out, and actually it'll be about 12 hours. Going to fly in the morning and fly back at night. It's less than a 1-hour flight, but have some important meetings with some new partners, and we definitely want to get up there. But special shout out to my amazing wife. Everything you see at One Firefly and through my career would not be possible without her support. She is my backbone, and she's the one that gives me and my family, all the support we need. And she also is inside the business. So many of you don't know that, but she's on the accounting side and a lot of back office support. She's been involved really since day one. And One Firefly, we're actually going to be celebrating our 14-year anniversary of One Firefly, our birthday of One Firefly on Monday, I want to say November 1st is Monday. I guess someone could confirm that. I could probably confirm that. I know we're celebrating it on Monday. I'm actually going to pull up my calendar now just to confirm. Yes, Monday is November 1st. So that whole week we're celebrating here at One Firefly our 14-year anniversary, which is also super special. But you folks are not here to learn about our birthday. Maybe you are, or my wedding anniversary, but maybe you are. You're here to listen to the one and only Paul Starkey. Paul is he's actually setting a precedent today. I think Paul knows this, but he is the only 3-time interview guest on Automation Unplugged. And Paul is even more famous because he was guest number 1. So he was guest number 1, and then my team will drop into the comments and they'll let us know. I actually didn't pull up the record on what show number 2 was, but I can tell you show number 3 is show 192. So that is the show we're recording today. Paul, he'll get on and tell us about his career, and we'll talk about lots of fun subjects. But most recently, he is a partner in PrepTech and the business Aspire Liquidity Partners. And he's going to tell us all about that. And there we go. My team just dropped into the notes. Paul was guest number 1, number 11, and now number 191. And actually, Paul, are you still there? You are. What I need you to do, Paul, because you just clicked off of my screen, I need you to click refresh on your browser, because I can't actually see you. You disappeared from my screen. But if you do a refresh, I should see you again. Yep, there you come. All right, I see you. And I am going to give me 1 second here, folks. Audio in my ears. And I should be able to bring you on live. Sorry about that little blip, Paul, but now you know the fix. If anything weird happens, just refresh your browser and it'll bring you in. So let's go ahead and bring Paul in without further ado. Paul, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Ron. Thank you. It's a beautiful day out here in San Diego. So
awesome. I'm going to change my setting here so that I get you in my ears. Go ahead and say something for me, Paul.
hello to everybody that's tuned in.
Hello. All right. Well, I am hearing you through the computer speaker, but as long as we don't get any weird echo effects, it's not on your end. I promise you it's on my end. I think we're good to go. Paul, where are you coming to us from?
I'm in San Diego. I live in North County, San Diego. Been out here 11 years, Ron, and loving it. Every day is a blue sky day here.
Paul, you are known for being involved in so many fun and exciting industry, I'm going to say, events, activities. You have a career back to Elan and Nortek and those activities. Why don't you, at your convenience, maybe take us a little bit back in time for those that haven't heard a little bit about your background, and then that'll bring us into the present. I want to talk about, your new businesses. I also want to talk about VITAL, which I know you just recently sold. Mm-hmm. And then, I want to talk about Bravis and lots of fun things. But go ahead and take us back in time.
Just real quick, I've been involved in the custom integration business since 1993. I joined Square D that owned the Elan Skunk Works at that time, because that's basically what it was. We engineered a buyout in 1995 of the Elan business from Square D, and then successfully sold that in 2003 to Nortek, which I think many know. I stayed on and played various roles, president of Elan, of course, but then ultimately the CMO for core brands, and then left in 2013 to form a new company called VITAL Management. It's a business coaching firm that really focused on quantifying and standardizing financial metrics in the CI business. Joined with Steve Firszt, who had been coaching at that time for, close to 8 years, I think. And we've had a great partnership since October of 2013. So it's been a fun relationship. It's always great to have a partner who's about 2,000 miles away. You get along every day. Right. But no, we're a great complement to each other and have enjoyed working together. And prior to all the CI involvement, I was in a number of computer-related technology-related businesses coming out of college. Was sales manager, marketing product manager, general manager in those businesses. So I got a lot of business exposure, and companies were growing that were acquiring companies, that kind of thing. Actually was with an emerging company I raised venture capital for. So even though I've had a lot of industry facing experience, I've had a lot of financial experience, raising money, venture capital, being involved in both selling side and buying side transactions. So it's been more fun than work, to be honest. And more recently, to your point, we sold the VITAL Management business. We were successful getting the 15 companies investment with the Bravis thing that we were doing, and then started a new venture with Helen Henneveld called PrepTech, which hopefully we'll get some time to talk about. And been doing a lot of charitable and philanthropy work as well, which keeps me busy. So I've never been like a single task oriented guy. So I need a lot of stuff to fill in the gaps when something's not as busy as I like it to be. So
tell us, I'm going to put it on the screen, but tell our audience more about VITAL. And you and Steve birthed that company. You've worked with many companies, not just the Bravis transition businesses, but many beyond that.
Yeah, the whole idea, and I didn't know Steve. I mean, I saw him once at a CEDIA presentation talking about business stuff, and I go, "This guy's pretty smart." And when I decided to leave Nortek, I had this vision of being able to provide quantitative metrics for CI owners. I've worked with so many over the years, and got a sense that they really needed help in the business side of it. And I thought, wow, this would be great. And then when I learned that 97% or more were on QuickBooks, I go, what a natural thing to build a platform on QuickBooks that gives them the feedback, makes a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet seem, more simple to them. And so Steve called me and congratulated me as being a consultant after I left. And he goes, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm doing this thing. I'm going to create all these metrics." And he goes, "Well, I got about 80% of that done." He goes, "Why don't we do it together?" And I said, "Well, I wasn't looking for a business partner." So about 30 days later, we're in business together, and taking my ideas and his hard work and fundamentals, put them together. And that became the VITAL, we called it VITAL Signs early on. It became business intelligence for custom integrators, color-coded in the cloud dashboard that really help business owners distill their business down to about 6 really important levers. And it's available to everybody. Now, not everybody took us up on it, to be honest. A couple thousand, custom integrators out there. I think we touched maybe 150 of them over the time. And what came out of that was people said, "Well, now we're doing all things together. Maybe we should talk about this roll-up thing," because our initial intent wasn't really to do a roll-up. And they used to call it an exit strategy, but we found out right away, nobody gets to leave. It's Hotel California, right? So it was like, let's just figure out how we can monetize these businesses. And we had a co-op, had about 32 dealers in it. 15 of them wanted to go to market. I had done some investment banking and venture capital process, so we were able to lead that. And we closed a $65 million deal for the owners, and that became Bravis, the company as it's known today. And we've consulted with them. We're not as actively involved with them. We do play a role with them, which is finding new companies to join their network. But we're arm's distance from the company at this point. We're both major shareholders or significant shareholders, so we have that. But it's the evolution of VITAL and the coaching notion was really to help to give CI owners a mentor, an accountability coach that most of them don't have. And most of them talk to their wives or their significant others. They may have a friend, but most of them are islands. Most of them have evolved their systems to where they are. Most of them have very little mentorship around them, unless they have,
They don't. Most of these business owners don't have anyone to tell them no, or to tell them maybe you should reconsider that, or maybe you should, think a little bit more deeply about what you're doing.
And we never intended to be yes men, so we were saying no more times than we said yes. And we what we had the advantage of is because we had dozens and dozens and dozens of data points of how companies performed, we could show business owners what was possible because they had one set of data points. They knew their data. They knew what they were able to achieve profit-wise, or what their ratios of compensation or margins and this kind of thing. Not always measured the same, but they had one set of data, and we were providing them feedback on dozens and dozens of similar size or even companies in their regions and so on and so forth. So the benchmarking became very important part, and still is a very important part of what Vital Management offers. And the company is rebranded as Grow with Vital. Matt Bernath, who was one of our great students and sold his business before the Bravas transaction, is leading it. And Matt's the consummate coach. He's just got the greatest personality and acumen for it. He's not Steve. He's not Paul. He's Matt, and he's very effective. They've just hired Lawrence Davis as
I was talking to Lawrence on the phone yesterday. He gave me a call just to say hi and introduce. I mean, I knew Lawrence, but he was introducing himself in that role at Vital.
He's doing business development for him. They hired a couple of our ex Bravas general managers who grew up in the system to be coaches. So they're doing what Steve and I never got around to doing, which was scaling the business so it could be more open and a greater diversity of services, and allow more people to participate. We had kind of a hardcore, we're going to change how you do things. And that was a speed bump for a lot of companies because they had to fundamentally change their accounting system, their processes. And for the ones that did, it was fantastic. But not everybody loves broccoli and Brussels sprouts because this is so low on the totem pole, even though you could say, is getting from 5% profit to 15 or 20 important to you? Unfortunately, in CI, most people go, no, I make enough.
No, I'm good.
Make enough money. But it's also more than that. It's having cash reserves. It's building the strength in the company that when you have hard times, whether it be a pandemic, scare, or whatever, you have the resources to contend through it. And so the Vital model is still intact, is in great hands going forward. Steve and I are consulting with them. There's great ownership backing with Jeremy Burkhardt, and a couple of his buddy investors are behind it. And we're really excited about where it could go. And with people that have a lot more runway time to grow the business than Steve and I had. So we're excited about the legacy of Vital. And we kept one piece out, which was the piece that conditions companies to be bought by companies like Bravas. We call that Aspire. So we have Steve and I are doing business as Aspire Liquidity Partners, which we have a handful of companies that we're taking to the next level. And there's now we have our third hit on our website that's kind of somewhat.
Yeah, you had a whopping 3 hits this month. Go, Paul.
Acquire LQ. Steve and I joke because we're the only two guys that knew how to get that up besides you, Ron. So this is kind of our services and what we do for companies. It's getting them on the system. It's taking everything we know. I just published a book that 30 companies have bought. Thank you all for paying $1,000 for a silly book. Yeah, there it is. Ron was one of the first. This book.
I didn't feel so bad spending $1,000. I knew that the $1,000 was going to charity, and you are so supportive of such a great cause. In fact, why don't you the money for the book? It's not about the $1,000 for a book is a little.
The book only gave you $1,000 of benefit. You should return it. But it's all the answers really. In the 8 years I've worked with Steve, it really. In a very simple Reader's Digest version, gives you all the things to do in the business to be more profitable, to be more productive, to be stronger financially and operationally in the business. The charity is called Building Better Lives, which is what my wife Jerry and I started the foundation 3-4 years back, and have raised most of our money, but $1.5 million for safe houses for sex traffic victims. And we opened on her birthday this year, March 31st, the first house that we funded here in San Diego. It's in a network of 7 houses currently that will end up being 30 over a period of time. These people do amazing work of turning the lives around to formerly abused teenagers that were abducted into the sex trafficking. And it's not a foreign problem. It's right here in the U.S. It's U.S. citizens of all ethnic and races, and it steals the childhoods of these young girls. And so these people do amazing work. They were just in San Diego last week. I got to meet all the executive directors and program managers, and we're just so tickled to do work with them. And all the proceeds of the book go to that. And
give a shout out. What's that website? We'll drop it into the notes.
It's BBL Building Better Lives, BBL Fund FUND.org. And if you choose to buy the book, that's great. If you choose just to make a donation, that's great too. And it's just a cause that is so important to us. We had a concert years ago at CEDIA that raised $150,000 with support of all the good manufacturers, including One Firefly and other friends. And we just love doing this, and it makes a difference. And it says, our why makes us cry, and it really is a heartbreaking situation. And we hope you would contribute if you can.
No, for sure. So at a high level, Paul, the least value an integration business, it seems like they would gain from engagement with, I'll say, VITAL or coaching, is they're running a more profitable business. And it seems like the most they might gain is an opportunity for an exit. Can you give kind of perspective to that?
Right. I think the way to look at it is they should look at it 95% improving what you do, because you only can get in a position to be bought if you're attractive and you're standardized and you're normalized. So I would look at this, just validate what you're doing, find out what you're missing. There's 55 management actions in this book. I'll guarantee you most companies are missing 40 of them. And it's, so find that out, get some help, get involved with, do an assessment of your business. It's a simple step. VITAL does it. I think it's a $495 assessment. They'll take your numbers and they'll benchmark you against what's possible. That alone is great feedback that most companies don't have. And then there's several 6 or 7 steps of choices. You don't have to get a full interruptive coaching experience. Some people need that and should take advantage of it. But I would say this, their vision, and we just absolutely support, is to get 1,000+ companies doing the same things the same way. And if you never exit or you never monetize your business through a sale, you will monetize it through that experience. You will make more money. You'll have more cash. You'll be able to reward your employees better. You'll be able to take care of clients better. You'll have more staying power, all the things that come with it. If you just get involved with that aspect of it, the sale of your business, I'm going to say it's going to be limited to few. There's few of you that will want to do that, see value in it. The timing will be right. It fits with what you want to do for your employees and your clients going forward. There'll be enough of those, though, that will make, Bravas wildly successful. But I wouldn't go into it with that in mind. I'd go into it with, hey, I just need to learn more about what I'm doing here and do it right. And these guys are smart guys. We've proven so many of the theorems of running a business in this. I wish I would have known these things about other businesses I was in a much earlier day, because when you understand the business model and you understand how to leverage it, there is so many things available to you that you never even thought. And every random decision you make every day, you'll have a better template for making better decisions. It's just that simple.
Paul, what's the spread you and Steve found since 2013 when you started looking at businesses and really, doing that analysis? What's the true profitability of the typical integrator out there?
I would easily say that we found 10 points of profit for our average company. Some more. We occasionally run into a company that goes, wow, they figured this stuff out on their own, but it's far and few in between. So, if you look at the companies that we've coached, which I think at one time we had over $200 million of revenue under our coaching scheme. And you figure 10%, that's $20 million a year. And this is repeatable profit, right? It's not just a one-time grab. It's, unless you fundamentally go back to what you were doing before, you're going to make it every year. So, I mean, $20 million of profit a year for, gosh, we've been doing it 8 years. That's a big impact on the industry and on these companies and on the livelihood of people. I mean, the most rewarding thing is in all this is helping people run their businesses, helping people get out of a life that's inappropriate for them, and that they have very few people to help them out. And the new business, PrepTech, is helping my friends find new technicians.
Right. Dig in. Tell us about PrepTech. I'll put the artwork up on the screen.
Most of it can just ride around. What's the most famous sign you see these days? It's not that your house is for sale. It's now hiring. I mean, I don't care if it's a Taco Bell or where it is. Everybody is trying to find out what happened to our vaporized workforce. People that were there 2 years ago, where'd they go? Because nobody can hire anybody. But we've always had this problem. We've always had a problem getting new techs into our business. So what we've done is just hired each other's. The retreads, or some of the best people, we bid for them and attract them to our businesses. Occasionally we got people from security and IT and tangent businesses into the business. But by my estimation, if we don't add 2,000 techs every year, we're going to run out of the ability to grow our business. Our bandwidth will be consumed. We will not be able to have double-digit growth, which is, it's not because we run out of customers. We run out of people to put in projects for them. Our salespeople have to slow down, which is just crazy in my way of thinking. Keep selling, keep installing, So it's a big problem. I wasn't particularly satisfied that we had solved the problem, that as an industry that we were even working it, because the average 19 to 25-year-old, if you caught them on the street and interviewed them and you asked them what a home technician did, they couldn't tell you. They would know if they're in trade school with a plumber or electrician or something. I mean, low voltage is so low on the whole training totem pole, right? Even in our trade schools and tech schools, it's a great alternative. But, we're finding that some of the statistics are very concerning about what's happening with our youth, and that more of the college-oriented high school graduates are now female. Almost 75% of the admissions are female. The male a worker is not going to college at the rates that they used to. So it's a perfect, we thought this is a perfect storm. It's an alternative. We have a great job. It's 40 hours, many times overtime. A lot of the companies have great benefits. It's a great work environment. The hours are 7 to 4 every day. You work in some of the most awesome homes in America. You're out in the field. I mean, what's not attractive? You don't do the same task every day. It's not laying sod. You don't have to have the green side up. You're not at Amazon moving a box to the conveyor belt, or UPS or that kind of thing. You're not at a phone company where the hours are crazy. So for somebody who has technical aptitude, great job, great opportunity. And this recent compensation reports show that within 4 years, there's a 50% increase in the starting wages or wage average of the first 2 years. So there's great wage advancement. These are small companies. You can move up the ladder. Many of the people that are running our companies are in senior positions, started as field tech. So, I mean, I don't have to tell people on this call on the wonderment of these jobs. It's great, but we don't have enough workers to fill them. And so, and think about our small companies, our 6-person, 10-person, 12-person, 20-person companies. How much time do they have to do recruiting, to build the relationships with the schools and the military and the conduits for these people, and keep those relationships spinning, and then test those people, and then maybe give them some basic training. So PrepTech ties the whole knot. It's a full loop thing. We're going to establish the relationships locally. We're working in Dallas right now with the schools and the military. We believe we can go to the top 15, 20 markets. We can have in location relationships. So we're getting the best students, because the teachers and the military people help you vet and get the best. And then we test them. We have a scientific testing methodology. It's called TAT, technical aptitude testing. If they score high on that, then we afford them the job-specific knowledge. It's 60 hours of online training that gives them all the basics on signal processing, wire types, network management and setup. It doesn't train them on every manufacturer's product. It just gives them a basic foundation. So now that when we marry them with the local employers, the employers have people that are been vetted by their teachers and military personnel. They've taken the test. They have a basic background in it, and it's a great entry level opportunity. And we're doing it at a fraction of a cost. The placement of these graduates is like 1/3 the cost of what you pay a placement organization. So the concept was not to do 10 or 20 of these a year, but could we be responsible for 1,000 hires every year or more? And so it's a scalable model, which you shouldn't be surprised. That's the way we think. And we're doing the hard work. I mean, if this was easy, everybody could do it. It's not easy. It's very hard, actually. But we're getting a good response from the dealers. I always say we're starting a lemonade stand. We have to go get the right lemons. No lemons, no lemonade. So we're in the process of doing a pilot in one market, which is Dallas, Fort Worth, and we're trying to get our first 40 to 50 students in our courses, and at that point we'll be offering them to 6 to 12 employers in that marketplace. And once that's successful, we'll move to 4 or 5 other markets, and then ultimately have our platform, because if you think of it, it's a relationship platform, testing platform, it's a training platform, and it's a onboarding hiring platform. Because the other problem we have in our industry is 1,000 companies, 1,000 different ways of onboarding employees. And we essentially are writing the manual on that so a company can checkbox what things they want to do in the first 90 days. So we got to make sure people stick in this business. The problem with job boards today and interviewing, there's a little bit of a fallout, frankly, of people that don't have any experience, haven't been vetted like this, haven't had to commit any time and effort. Are they going to be there 90 days, either by the employer's choice or the employee's choice? So anyway, that's PrepTech in a nutshell. And it's another big problem. We like tackling big problems for the industry. Raising the business acumen was one. Addressing the workforce shortage is another. I don't have enough time or gas in my tank to solve too many more others. But
I was going to say, you are a problem solving machine, Paul. To just go a little bit deeper, I'm sure you've piqued many people's interest with the idea that you might be part of the solution for the labor shortage. Just a couple high level, this is pre-revenue at this point. I mean, do you have dealers that have paid for these techs, or are you still, where are you at? Is the education baked?
We're in the proof of concept right now. We have, we're not even asking employers to provide any funding at this point. We simply ask them to sign a letter of intent with us that says, when we have graduates available, they will subscribe to our service. So the subscription is $1,000 a year. You get access to the graduates. And then when you hire, you get $500 back on each hire. So if you don't hire anybody, you're out $1,000. So you hire two, that money gets recovered and you're paying the $2,000 placement fee. And then the third person's $2,000, so on and so forth. Usually the placement fee on a $30,000 plus a starting person is anywhere from $3,500 to $5,500. So it's an economical model. But we're in the letter of intent stage with the employers. We're in the recruiting stage for schools in the military. I'm actively involved with that. Mark Weisenberg, who I've worked with for a number of years, is working with me. Helen Hennevel, as I mentioned, is involved. So we're in the process of signing up schools. What you really want is you want reoccurring sources. You want the schools that will give you their top 2 or 3 candidates every year. So we think in Dallas that's having at least a dozen conduits to feed that market need. And that's true of most of the other markets as well. So that is happening as we speak. Our learning management system, which is the course content, that's one of the easier things because that was a lot of the content Helen had. We've added some soft skills training to that. That's in the process of being completed. So normally I wouldn't like to talk about these things until after the fact, but this fourth quarter is our launch quarter for PrepTech. And have me back on at episode 220 and I'll give you a full report of how it went. But
I love it.
We didn't want to try to boil the ocean and do a national thing. We lot like our custom integration business, this is the local source of talent. It's not to say that we can't find people in Dallas and they'll move to Detroit because they were in the service or California or other places. That will happen. But usually the people that we're finding went to school there, they'll want to stay where they're at. And but it's, this is, I always look for businesses where there's not a lot of inventory and not a lot of employees. So this is a business we can scale. The inventory will be the students. And of course, and we do want a lot of those. And and we'll be able to have relationship managers in most of the markets.
So this is the solution to a problem that our industry certainly has, and that is the lack or the challenge around hiring and bringing the people into at all areas of the business, but certainly at the entry level positions. And I'm here in Florida, and I remember there were sound advice stores here. They're about in the high 20s, maybe 28 stores, I'm remembering. And they ultimately got absorbed into Tweeter, and then that whole thing went bust. But for many years, the sound advice stores were a feeder system, and the talent was coming through that store and then ultimately getting absorbed into integrators throughout the state and up the East Coast. And those people were often going and then launching their own business, and it was a birthing, it was a birthing space for integration companies. And that's
True.
gone.
Best Buy, very similar. It's big companies who have the resources to do the recruiting and training, right? And then they would spawn people into CI, and then and unfortunately our retail sources for that, even some of the long-standing ones, have faded. Faded to black or red, I should say.
Right.
Really, but so it's true. It's true. And this is a strategic problem, and it's a strategic solution. And we have, we as an industry, not as a company or them a partner in a way, but as an industry, we've got to up our game. We have to educate the general world of what is this niche. It's a big business. I mean, I estimate that our retail volume for custom integration is, and even taking out some of the things we shouldn't count in, it's still about $6 billion. It's a big retail business. The manufacturer business is probably $2.5 billion. Well, if a tech can generate $75,000 to $100,000 of labor revenue a year, we need to add 2,000 plus techs a year to keep this thing growing. And I'm confident we will, but we need more elbow grease on this. And this is not a competitive thing with buying groups or CEDIA or anything. All those groups are doing a great job of training the people somebody else hired. And that's important for increasing the productivity of our workers and raising their bar. But at some point, we need a continuous flow of quality talent into this. And we need to tell our story better to the consumer. I mean, what we do is unique and it's special. It shouldn't be rounded off to, well, I can do that with a Ring doorbell and a wireless speaker. It shouldn't be discounted that easily. And it's a marketing problem. But
it's a big problem, Paul, but that's what you do. You take on big problems and you go, yeah, I can do this. I can.
Well,
and there are people that bandy ideas about, but you execute.
Show me a mountain that somebody's fallen off of, and I want to climb it. So that, but it's all learning, Ron. I mean, that's what we do in our business. We learn from our failures, we learn from other people's failures, and we try not to repeat them. So, thank you for the opportunity to share that. And I'm confident, that we can wiggle the needle in this, and whether that's hiring 200 people or 2,000, everyone helps. It's just like the safe house. If we help one girl or we help 1,000 girls, everyone's important. So we continue to do that. I would like to shout out for one of my sponsors.
Yeah, please.
DMF Lighting has done an extraordinary thing. They approached me about using our foundation or charity as their corporate charity, and Mike Libman and Russ over there in their marketing department. Just been awesome to work with. They put together a program called Shine a Light, and it's shine a light on building better lives. And it's what they're doing. If a dealer makes a nominal donation to our foundation, as little as $2. We'd like to see a little higher, 100 or 500 or even.
Sure. I think our listening audience can do more than $2.
Yeah, but if you got $2 and you're a DMF lighting dealer or want to be one, you just start with that donation, and then every fixture that you purchase from them, they make a $2 donation. And we're talking, we're talking potentially, hundreds of thousands of fixtures here. So it's an awesome gesture on their part. It starts with our dealers, raising their hand and saying, hey, we'll support this. It doesn't come out of the dealers' money. It comes out of the manufacturer. So they have it on their site. If they have the Shine a Light program on their website. There's a little bit of it, I believe, on my website as well.
We'll put a link to it in the Facebook and LinkedIn comments, as well as the show notes page.
But I just love vendors in our space who, walk the walk. They say they give back, and here's a great example they do. And whether it's this cause or any other cause, I would just love to see more of that from our manufacturers and from our dealers.
I see my team, Jessica just dropped it into the show notes. So there it is, dmflighting.com/integrator/shine-a-light. So you guys probably just want to go to their website and click through that. I don't know that you want to take my dictation, but Paul, I'm going to ask you to pull out your crystal ball here, and I'm going to give reference or give a shout out to Randy Stearns. He's a CEO over at D-Tools. Awesome. And I sat through a wonderful talk that he gave at the ASEAN conference a couple of weeks ago in Nashville. And in that, he talked about I feel like my head's been in the sand because his message was very different than what I thought was the case. But I also had this confirmed yesterday from a different economist that is going to be headlining an event next month at the Total Tech Summit. And the theme is that our economy here in the United States is actually potentially poised to look really good for the next, maybe as many as the next 8 to 10 years, as opposed to maybe my head in the sand comment would be, I was concerned maybe only another 6 months. What does your crystal ball say? And it really ties in my mind to the labor shortage. Is this a short-term labor shortage issue, or is this potentially going to go on for years?
Well, is there a labor shortage? Is it because there's too many people standing out of the labor force, or is some magical thing happen where the demand has like quadrupled? Now, I pulled through a Taco Bell last night, right? I don't think their demand probably has increased because more people are eating out and doing the drive-through, I guess. But I look at this, I think it's a recoiling effect, Ron. I think, it's like pulling a rubber band back and back and back. We've had 20 months of just unusual restricted activity, and pipelines, supply chains have clogged up, and building costs have went crazy. The board of 2x4 plywood
commodities pricing went through the roof.
Yeah, and it's coming back, and now copper is going crazy. There's all kinds of things happening, right? But I think it's a recoiling of it. I think the workforce will come back. I think the supply chains will mellow out. But I think what's going to happen is we're pulling on this rubber band, and I think it's going to catapult once these things, normalize. And we've had a blessing in custom integration. I mean, the lifestyles of the rich and famous kept spending that technology at home. So we've been a big benefactor of this. I think what always changes, if you read a lot on what things to invest in and things, I mean, there's big technology pushes, whether it's electric vehicles, it's crypto, it's biotech, it's AI, it's there's a lot. Big tech is going to be factored in our lives. I mean, people would have probably gave up on the FanGap stocks, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Apple, Tesla. But, I bought some of those 3 months ago, and I think they're all up 30% since then or something. But so, we're going to see more of that, and we're going to see they're going to see a lot more emphasis on productivity, I think, and things that help. But we're going to see a shift, and maybe like the Roaring '20s, we're going to have boom, but it's going to create more divisions, more gaps, more economic gaps in our economy.
Politically, I've never seen our country in a weirder spot than it is right now. Maybe globally than it is right now. It's just so much weirdness out there.
Think about what happened in the late '20s and the '30s that led to World War II. I mean, there was a lot of the same winds, different, but same fundamentals.
Themes are similar
in place. So will history repeat itself? But I think short term there's a lot of opportunity for us, and I think there'll continue to be more opportunity. I mean, the rate of innovation is just spinning faster than it is ever spun, right? I mean, I can think, I didn't grow up in this industry, and I hit the door in July of 1993. And the technology we had then versus the technology we have now, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we thought things were super, cool back then, and they're a yarner, and we were excited about F connectors back in the day.
I think 93, that's maybe like a 4600 baud modem or something like that.
Yeah, almost, and almost, pre-internet from a home usage standpoint.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I was in a data capture business that was a precursor to Zoom and all this, right? And you had to have special built pipes, T1, T2 lines to even use it, and only the government and big corporations were able to use it effectively. So, I mean, we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg in terms of innovation, and it is not going to slow down, and it's going to impact our lives in ways that we can't even think about. I mean, I can remember
you mentioned something, Paul, that of course tickled my ears because it happens to be a hobby of mine. You mentioned the word cryptocurrency. Are you an investor in Bitcoin, or what have you dabbled? What have you done?
I did not get into it till about December of last year. And I traded, and I made a lot of money, and I got out. And I convinced my good friend and partner to take some money out of our company that wasn't making any interest. And he's been smart enough. He just put it in and went to sleep, Rip Van Winkle style. Oh, and he's been probably much more successful with it. I'm too much of a busybody. I got to get in and, buy, sell, and
trading is dangerous.
So, but I think it's just another indicator. I saw where there's now $1 or $2 trillion in that.
Yeah, crypto, I would say market cap is over 2 trillion now.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's like 60 million Bitcoin or crypto holders. It's not a fad. I mean, it's funny. Every technology that ultimately takes over, you can know that the late adopters are going to call it a fad when it's early. I can remember Sonos, and I can remember taking the product into our lab at Elan, and this is like early day Sonos, And we had a big ceremony and christened it as just a crazy fad. No, I know there's 300 companies in CI manufacturing companies would like to have the revenues that Sonos has, right? So it's just, things change, and you got to be willing to be, in the change cycle. You can't fight it. You just got to look for the opportunities.
What happens when you deny it?
You lose. You always lose. You become the blacksmith and the travel agents of industry. It's things change, and they're going to change, and our space will change. But I always thought was really cool about custom integration is for it to be valued, it needs change. It needs to be on that leading edge of innovation, and it's a good place to be. I mean, it's a great place to be. And it's created a lot of good livelihoods for a lot of families and a lot of people. And, it's awesome. So.
Amen. Well, I said this, I've said it many times on the show, but, when I joined the industry 21 years ago in 2000, I joined Lutron, and I said, I think there'll be more technology in our lives tomorrow than there is today. So if I'm going to enter an industry, this is probably a good industry to join. I don't know anything about it yet. I had a lot to learn for sure, but it just seemed reasonable, maybe just logical. There'd be more technology. Technology would continue to advance.
And what's changed more fundamental than your business, Ron? I mean, the digital marketing business is taken over print. It's taken over all the traditional forms of advertising and communication and marketing. And it's a high growth, highly desirable industry. I mean, all these platforms of Facebook and Instagram and all the others. I mean, who would have thunk? I mean, who would have thunk that was, the way of the future?
One thing that happened during COVID is when some of these, and sadly, some businesses had challenges opening their doors, or customers didn't want to come and visit physically. But you know what they were doing is they were visiting digitally.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, we even got our phone tells us how much screen time we use.
I was so proud of myself. It's funny you mentioned that. On Sunday, I saw that I had used my phone 9% less than the previous week. I was like, this is good, because my God, is that thing addicting. Yeah. And I know it's not good for me, but it's hard to put it down or not check it every so many minutes.
Well, who would have dreamed? I mean, I started in the computer business in the mid 70s. And who would have dreamed that everybody would have a computer in their pocket? I mean, if you had just socialized that idea in 1975, you forgot, oh boy, that's more than, that's Star Trek kind of stuff, right? But now it's not only a computer in your pocket, but 3 cameras, not 1, but 3.
And access to all the world's knowledge.
Yeah. And you can,
right there.
You can be your own Cecil B. DeMille, it's amazing world we live in. And I think as human animals, we just have to learn to adapt and adopt and spin fast. I think, speed is always desirable. The faster you can do things, I've socialized our PrepTech idea with a lot of large companies. And in the back of my head, I know that me and 2 other people can do it a lot faster than any big company out there in terms of a proof of concept. Now, we can't scale it like big companies could, but that's where opportunity lies. And I think, if you enjoy the science of business, look for those opportunities. Look for the things that you can do well and faster than other people, and then hopefully you'll figure out how to monetize them. I mean, you and I had this personal conversation before, but not most of us put a stake, 60 months out, 5 years from now, and say, this is where I want to be. We just go where our daily stuff takes us. It's an extension of day to day or week to week. And sometimes I think you need to get your head above the dashboard and say to yourself, where do I want to be in 60 days or in 60 months? You don't have to get anal about it, but if I'm leaving San Diego and I don't have a vector to go to Chicago, chances are I'll never make it.
You might land here in Fort Lauderdale, then we can hang out.
I could get to Arizona and quit. Who knows? But so I think it's one of my pieces of advice to business owners all along is take a little time to ask those questions. Even if you don't get a concrete plan of where do you want to be in 5 years from now. Now to the point where my answer is real simple. I want to be at the end. Just 5 years from now, just at the end. And I think I know what that means for me. Hopefully not on a respirator, but
hopefully not on a respirator. That's for sure.
It's the reason I have so many irons in the fire is that I like to poke on them. So again, thank you for inviting me again, and hopefully this isn't old stuff to the people listening.
No, this has been awesome, Paul. I appreciate you coming on show 192. Paul, the people listening or watching, where do you want to send them so that they can get in touch personally or for any of your businesses or activities?
Well, if it's PrepTech related, Paul, Paul at PrepTech, it's 8 letters, PrepTech.com. That tells the whole PrepTech story, and really any general inquiries could go there. I still maintain Paul at VITAL, VITAL MGT.com. We haven't actually opened up our Aspire website that you showed, but
if you need help with that, give me a call after this, and we'll give you some pointers on getting that email set up.
Webmaster is like way down on my totem pole of things I do, but Paul at VITAL MGT or Steve at VITAL MGT still works. We're having fun working with the new owners there. We got some really great Aspire clients. We're busy with PrepTech, and I'm trying not to. I promised my wife I won't start any new ventures for at least 3 or 4 months. So.
All right, we do have a comment, Paul. We're going to close on this. Our one and only Vanessa, she's been with us here at One Firefly many years, and she says, great show, Ron and Paul. It's always good to hear from Paul and learn more about the awesome stuff he's doing with his charity and the CI space. So Vanessa.
And thanks to One Firefly. You guys have been awesome supporters of all of our charity events. And Ron bought a book, even though, there is some stuff in there that might apply.
I'm dude. It's passed around my executive leadership team. We're converting and utilizing what makes sense.
Well, we need more apostles, and you guys are great. And all the work that we did on marketing pre-Bravis and what you've done with Bravis has been awesome. And we're excited about what Bravis is doing. We didn't get a chance to talk about that, but they just recently had 2 of their locations they sold off, and I was out in the field, and somebody goes, "Hey, we heard that Bravis is closing down," and I go, God. And that's so far from the truth that they're focusing on critical mass markets where they can have a $15 to $25 million presence. The 2 markets that they divested, Oklahoma City and Little Rock, we're never going to meet those goals. So that was, the core reason for that. But they are very much alive, and I think you're going to see big things in 2022 from a merger and acquisition standpoint. And they're a very large and effective organization. So we're excited to have stock ownership in that, and continue to watch the things that they're doing. And as I mentioned, our Aspire program has a connection to them. So looking for great things out of them, and I think the future bodes well for what they're doing and how they're going about it.
Awesome. Paul, we're going to close on that, sir. I want to thank you again for coming on show 192, and we'll have to make sure it's not another, what would be the quick math here? Another 181 shows or 180 shows before you come back on. Well,
this is a great thing you're doing, Ron. I do a thing with Vital called Tuesday Morning Coffees, and we just finished our 402nd weekly publication. It's a 500 word problem we solve. We attempt to talk about or solve every week, and this takes a real commitment to do this. And my hat off to you. I never envisioned you even getting close to 200 of these, and I did feel slighted that it took 180 of these to get me back out.
You've been busy, we've been busy, but it felt very appropriate. I wanted to help you celebrate some of your most recent wins. You have so many.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate you and your lovely wife on your anniversary. And more impressively, that is impressive, 18 years, but 14 years of really building a phenomenal business that's a great service to our industry. Congratulations to you and your people. And I feel like you and I, as friends, I've been able to share in a little bit of that. So
you've been right beside me through a lot of it, and I want to thank you for that.
Awesome. Hello to everybody out there.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna push this out. We've had a wonderful audience watching us live, and we're gonna push it out on podcast. The audio podcast, as always, will be available next week for download. So that's how we also have quite a download following. So they'll be able to hear you and hear all this goodness here in about a week. So Paul, thank you, sir. I'm going to tune out or sign off here, and but hang out with me, Paul. Don't leave. So I'm going to pull you off screen, but don't leave yet. You and I'll do a quick roundup.
All right, thanks, Rod.
All right. All right, folks, there you have it. The one and only Paul Starkey. We dropped lots of links into the show notes, Paul's various business activities, as well as his various charities, the charitable organization or activities through DMF Lighting, as well as BBL Fund, which is his primary charity. So definitely be sure to check those out. And if you don't know Paul, you should just reach out and say hello. He's a swell guy, and he's full of wisdom, and I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. So if those of you out there have not already subscribed to the podcast, please do so. If you haven't left us a review, you can leave it on any platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your preferred method of listening. That'd be great. It helped ultimately our audio only podcast get out to a wider audience. So on that note, I'm going to sign off. I think I am not doing a show next week because I'm actually going to be traveling, although it is our birthday celebration. So make sure you follow One Firefly on all the socials. You'll see lots of fun content coming out every day next week to celebrate our 14-year business birthday. But I will be doing some video shoots. I'm actually going to be in Texas Wednesday through Friday, personally shooting a number of different types of projects for clients, which you all will see out on the internet in the coming months. So we're not going to be able to do an automation unplugged. So I'll see you guys on the week after. So on that note, have an excellent rest of your Wednesday and a great week. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.